So, welcome back, everybody. Here we are still on erotic wisdom. This is a little bonus episode following up on the conversation I've been having with Rahasya. And we ended our episode with quite a poignant question, and I don't want let go of Rahasya before he answered this for me, because he's gonna go back to Little Tibet, his hermitage in the Little Karoo here in South Africa, and it might be a while before I see him again. And so my question for him is, what is the purpose of sex and violence?
Well, what I was saying was that just as martial artists question deeply into, what is violence, what is for, what's the point of learning how to manage yourself in a space of violence. And tantrikas have a similar relationship to eroticism and sexuality. That's the question's deep for us around that. Now, the martial arts one I can answer you more easily is, well, good monks, why do we train? Well, we train to be gentle. That the more skilled you are, the more you can use what are called high skill methods. Doesn't mean high skill being good at a thing. It means being able to use a method that requires skillfulness, that enables gentleness. Mm-hmm. So at the crudest level of it, at the lowest skill level, the warrior sees that someone is going to be a problem. So he gets around behind him some evening while the guy's walking home drunk and does his head in with a half brick. That's very effective. It stops the guy being a problem, etc., etc. You could say he's very skilled at that. That's not what's meant by high skill. That's a low skill technique. Direct application of energy, crudely, directly, and sort of on point. Smacking someone straight in the face, straight like a boxer. That's low skill approach. High skill is, here comes the guy now. He is being a problem. Out comes his sword, and I disarm him gently and land him on his bum so he's a bit embarrassed. The damage is to his reputation, maybe, but he's drunk, so that doesn't count. But to his ego at the moment, I've done a little bit of hurt. But the skill enabled me to be that gentle, as opposed to have to kill him. That's high skill, low skill. So there's one reason why those who study martial arts, that's sort of one of the higher reasons, one of the reasons I prefer, and I'm happy with there being martial arts schools in the world doing actual violence that we wouldn't normally want around the culture. Yeah. I like it that they exist, I suppose. I understand why. I've played to that to quite an extent myself, but that's in terms of Tantra, we've got a similar quest. And the why engage with sexuality consciously? Why entertain and work with consciously our eroticism as opposed to trying to avoid it or use it as a guide or, going all Freudian on it or whatever. And the why is because it is, on one level of development, it's the richest source of triggering of things put away for later through the childhood that we have. Well, it's really up there. Tantra is about going a different pace from the kind of monastic kind of level interest, level of energy seeker. It's going beyond that. It's when, tantrikas are ones who don't fit in with the monastery. They read 2 books ahead, and they've studied 2 other masters on this topic under discussion, and they're asking the wrong questions and diverting the teacher every which way all over the place. And you've got to kick them out. That's what they did. Those go to the tantrikas. So when it comes to methods, tantrikas are all about the quickest, the most intense, the fastest methods. And sex is one of 3 very, very strong awareness practices that Tantric has discovered in history. And like I was saying in the apology, okay, I suppose we can add to that apology a little bit. Okay, let's apologize for the path of the thief and the path of the murderer, the path of the assassin and the thief. Those are great physical disciplines which really, really demand great levels of awareness in their practice. And the practice of them brings whole other levels of awareness. Hence their usefulness as a spiritual path, although we don't go there anymore. They're not useful. The third path is the path of conscious sexuality. We prefer that one. We hope that's less disturbing to the culture than the others, but sometimes I wonder.
So just explain a little bit what you mean. It's a trigger for feelings that we put away for later. I mean, I know what you mean, but I don't think maybe listener understand this.
There's a more fulsome. Well, I think I wrote a little blog article about this recently. So
you wrote a blog about this.
Yeah. Blog.tantraschool.coza/blog.
Okay.
Go to advaittantra.com and look around for the link to the blog. Maybe. Yeah, should be there. But basically, it's in an area of spiritual pursuit. It's not the whole spiritual journey, but a big chunk of it is the journey to what you can call maturation, or to living in the moment. Nice words, nice phrase, living in the moment. We all like it, but what it actually means is that your response to something in life is your response to it, not your response adjusted for everything it triggers in you, everything it triggers of your past fears, associations, blah, 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 all that psychological stuff. And so the basic mechanism is throughout childhood, feelings happen that are just too much to feel in fullness at the time. They're nice, some nice feelings, some terrible feelings, all a mix, but plenty of them way too intense for that little body, little capacity to hold it. And they don't get held. They go into kind of storage in the body to be felt later. And that's where at puberty, the hormones kick in and little Johnny goes running off, making inappropriate sexual advance after inappropriate sexual advance at everyone and everything he meets. Gets rejected by everything. Spends his nights weeping his heart out at this massive feeling of rejection he experiences. It was just a little rejection, just someone says, no, I don't want to suck your dick, Johnny, or whatever today. That's all that happened. But he's weeping his heart out and feeling a worthlessness and everything else, because he's feeling, hopefully he's feeling all the way through too, but more likely he's just feeling his protection of and his tenderness around the feelings he put away for later about mommy just rejecting him, sticking him in his room at night, saying, no, you don't sleep with me and daddy now, and whatever, that kind of stuff. And if he gets through those tears and gets broken into those spaces of that rejection time and time again, and the hormones keep driving him out there, and this desire, which cometh from the subconscious, is where desire comes from, keeps dragging his ass out there. He knows she's going to reject him, but he's still got to just try. And then he inappropriately grabs her boob at the wrong moment, and then she rejects him, and then, and that kind of thing happens. If that happens enough, then to put it in very basic language, he might eventually get over the feeling of absolute horror that he felt, that was totally overwhelming when he was a very little boy, when mommy's tit came out of his mouth. When mommy's tit came out of his mouth, that was a horrific thing. There goes the withdrawal of everything I love, everything I know, everything, and it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, disconnection,
The
abandonment.
loss and the terror and the dread of it. But only when he's relived that, felt that, had that triggered by running around making an idiot out of himself, eventually he's felt his way through that lot, and he's more mature. Now, in that way, you know, we're attracted to a particular kind of work with a particular kind of boss. We stay in a job with someone that's a co-worker that we hate, but eventually we've finished all our little feelings put away for later about our sibling or whatever it is. We've, you know, the basic, the work
So
of the
later
subconscious
is right
is to
now.
get the stuff felt. The mechanism it has for it is it gets to generate your desires. So it gets to put you in harm's way, so to speak, in terms of getting your triggering. And the kicker is that it's cleverer than you, your subconscious. And how to say that Tantrika's, the approach I recommend is to line up with it. You know, you get in line with your triggering. And you say, oh, that woman, I had a cup of tea with her, and afterwards I feel like a pint of blood short. Oh, so alluring, so chilling. I've got to go back. I've got to marry her. Or whatever. You know, 'cause if you're feeling that kind of resonance, she's a good trigger for a lot of your stuff, and your subconscious is going to make that desire strong. Yeah.
So there is that place that after we follow all our desire, particularly sexual desire, which become tools for trigger, that eventually is when our eroticism becomes much more
Well, you get to
quiet
the kind
and
of thing
fulfilled.
what you're experiencing the truth of now.
Yeah,
That you're living in your freedom too, not your freedom
exactly.
from.
Yeah.
And it's not a demanding thing. In the freedom too, there's no pressure on you. And nothing comes with a you have to do with this or this. Nothing comes with that. You know, so it's lighter.
It's lighter and it's accessible. I mean, for me now, my eroticism is for life and at large more than just to people. Not to say that I've worked out all my core wound, but
That's part of the awesome expansion of the feminine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, beloved. And
You're welcome, Valentina.
I'm looking forward for the next time. I hope you enjoyed the bonus track here. Lover listeners. Ciao, until the next one.